Hi, I'm Adriana.
And I'm Julie. And I have autism.
And I don't. Welcome to the Neurotypical Podcast. Thanks for listening.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, recently we went to New York.
Yes, we did. We can talk all about the New York trip.
How was that trip for you?
It was a lot.
Like what?
Like a lot of things happened for me.
You traveling is quite different than the way I travel.
It felt a lot of like I used a lot of energy.
Yeah, and I think leading up to it, because you knew your routine was going to change, you were just super nervous.
Let's start from the beginning before I left Houston.
Right, so...
I prepared myself for 4 months.
Did you really?
Yes.
Okay, so planning for the trip begins for someone with autism, or you with autism, begins 4 months prior.
Well, I don't know.
To the actual trip. Do you need time to process the actual trip? So you start thinking about it.
This one took me 4 months.
And during that time, what do you think about for 4 months?
I think about how I'm going to travel.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Well, I lay out the logistics of going to the airport. Like my packing. And how I'm going to go through security.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go...
So you go through every single little detail?
Yeah.
Of the process of the travel?
Yeah.
From start to finish?
Yeah. There were some things I didn't know whenever I was going on the trip. So there's a few people that gave me some tips to go pick up some things I can, because New York during this time was cold, and it was really cold because we had the polar vortex. And so they told me that I should go get wool socks, because I had a boot on, one of the booties for my foot. So one of my foot was exposed, and the other one had a shoe.
Right.
So they told me to go get some wool socks. So I went and got not just one pair of wool socks, but I got like 28 of them.
Yeah, because she was adamant that she had to have enough wool socks for each day.
Yeah.
And to alternate and stuff.
But we only stayed there for a week, just in case I had to like switch out.
Yeah, and they had to be specific wool socks, because you have to follow the rule. That's what someone said.
Yeah. And it really helped me. And I didn't even feel cold at all. At least in my foot.
Right. Actually, I needed to use those wool socks. So I was very thankful that you planned ahead.
You mean that I shared it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I gave you some so you can use. Yeah. I actually went out and got specific ones for you because I knew that you were going to try to borrow my stuff. So I got you.
So that became a part of your plan.
Yeah, and then I prepped it and color-coded which ones would be yours and which one would be mine.
That's interesting, because when I have a trip, I just think, okay, get the flight, get where I'm going to stay, and then the Uber, and that's it.
Yeah, no.
I don't plan anything else.
I have to think about every day's wardrobe, everything.
So then once you've prepped for 4 months, and then the week leading up to it, what happens in the days leading, like maybe the night before?
I stay up.
Okay.
Think about it.
All night.
Yeah. Now I have anxiety.
So all of that thinking has progressed for 4 months.
Yeah.
And then we go, and there's maybe 2 days out, the anxiety begins.
Oh yeah, and then the night or the day of or the night of, I don't sleep.
Yeah, so she literally did not sleep the night before, and I was asleep. I could hear her rustling through all night long, doing whatever she was doing, and then she was laying down, and then I guess just looking at the ceiling. What did you do? Just lay there all night?
And then
what were you thinking?
I was thinking, I'm ready. And then when the alarm went off
at 5:30 a.m.
Actually, I woke up before.
You were waking me up before then.
I woke you up before the alarm went off, and I was like, it's time to go. And then you woke up.
I know, I got mad.
You got really upset. Because I did not let you sleep.
If anyone wakes me up in the morning,
I did not.
That is the worst thing you could ever do, is to wake me.
I was very adamant about the schedule and the time of the flight, and so I had to make sure that you got up in time.
Even if it's waking me up an hour before we have to get up.
We were there really early.
We were.
And then on the flight, everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
Because we did not have same seating in the same row. It was okay. I had a stranger next to me.
As did I.
Yeah, and the stranger was very nice. I have a fun fact story.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay. Years ago, before I actually traveled to New York once before I met you, and I was also sitting next to somebody, an elder woman from the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
She asked me if why am I traveling? And I'll say, I'm going to New York to visit. And then she goes, oh, are you traveling alone? And I was like, yes. And she was like, oh, well, you're going to love New York and everything, and told me so much about it. And then she invited me to come over and visit. And so I took her offer and went to the Bronx, and I visited her.
Oh my God.
And she was a really, 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 really nice person. And of course, I don't know that you're not supposed to probably do that, but
yes, which we have talked about now, sweetie.
Yes,
you're not worried thinking about that.
I don't worry about things. It was my first adventure, and so I did it.
So what would your advice be now if you could give advice to your old self? Like, what have you learned since traveling and since then? Would you do something different, or would you?
In many cases, I have been blessed traveling, because I don't think that anyone have tried to harm me, which is really good, because I don't think I haven't come across anyone who wanted to try to take advantage.
So you've been lucky.
Been pretty lucky. And everyone's been really kind so far. So I'm really thankful for that.
If you could tell yourself something now, what would be your advice? Because if there's other autistic kids, maybe they could learn from that.
You should probably not do that. Let's get back to this time's New York trip. Okay. And then we got off the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So once you get off the plane, are you back to just normal? Like, has the anxiety passed?
Yes. Now I have reached my destination.
And you're free?
Yes, to do my normal routine.
Okay. somewhat normal.
Yes, because obviously I'm in a different city, different place.
Yeah.
Different time zone. Different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
And doing, coping with the climate, the weather, whatever.
New sounds, maybe?
Mm-hmm. The pace. New York pace is really fast. And I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
People rush often. They talk really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to process everything.
Was that your mostly?
Yeah.
Did you find any place that was calming when you were in New York?
The park.
Just the park?
The park was the most calm because it was cold and not a lot of people. The park was the most calm because it had obviously,
I thought so too. It was really nice.
It had all the animals, and I love animals.
Yeah.
And it was that alone brought me peace, and because it was cold, nobody wanted to be at the park because all the vegetation and everything were kind of like wilting.
Yeah.
But you got to see the frozen water, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was super awesome. And
all the tennis balls on the water, frozen on top.
Yeah, all the dog tennis balls were all over the top. So for New York, I decided because I can't walk that far, I can do maybe 3 blocks, and then my leg is starting to hurt. So I ordered a wheelchair when I was in New York, and it was really horrible because Julie had to push me everywhere
while I was wearing my boot.
While she was wearing her boot. So we looked completely ridiculous, probably.
But I was still adamant I could do it. Because I had a mission.
Yeah, she had a mission, and she pushed me all throughout New York. It was really, really fun.
Like a real local.
And the only thing that I would say about New York is it is interesting. It's not very, it's accessible in some ways, but mostly it's just not. Like, there's just so many inconveniences. All of the spaces are really small, and it was built during older times. I know. It's just
so they can only make what's accessible for some places and some not.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It's weird.
But all their taxis.
Yeah, their taxis are awesome. Uber and Lyft are terrible. They never have any wheelchair accessible cars, which is ridiculous. So we used taxi.
Well, we processed that.
Yeah, we went through that, and then the only thing that can be interesting about taxis, though, is they have like the TV, and it's really loud when you get in. Was that shocking for you at all?
Mm-hmm.
It was. Were you like completely annoyed?
Yes.
It's probably something they could work on.
Yeah. But I did pull over my first taxi by hand.
Yeah, you did. Oh my gosh.
I was waving.
There was one moment where, because we weren't taking the subway because of my wheelchair, and some of the places you can't really get in to the subway with it, so we would just rather take the taxi. So then we had to wave down a taxi instead of using the app. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's no way you're going to be able to do this. We need a wheelchair accessible. And it took kind of a while before one to pass by.
Well, no, you just have to, well, because normal people or everyone else would probably just like wave down a taxi on their way. Mm-hmm. But I specifically had to look for an accessible one. Mm-hmm. And the only way you could do that is that you have to find out where the most traffic is and which direction it is going. And so the most...
Is that why we kept moving?
Yes, because I need to make sure that the taxis go in the right direction, so that way we pay less for our fare and we get our accessible vehicle and
it's a high traffic area,
so we can get the most taxis possible in order to our probability would be higher.
Okay, I see.
All of my thought process is like makes sense.
How you're gonna save us.
Yeah. So walked us over to several blocks and then went down, so that there's a lot of them and there was good amounts of traffic and lots of amount of taxis, and they were moving at a fair speed, so that sounds like it would be less of a fare. We would get to our destination and we would get a taxi in time not to freeze to death.
Okay.
And lucky enough, I did.
You did do it. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I really was. I was like hopeless. I was even praying. I was like, please.
Yes. And so I was really good with directions, so didn't get lost in New York.
Yeah, you're really good with directions. You could, like, I don't even know, like you memorized all the streets. Even if you saw it once and you just glanced at it, you knew exactly where to go.
It was really fun. And we went, so during this trip we went to the Met, and usually they give you 3 days to finish it. We were able to follow the map and finish it within 2 days and finish off the other building too. And so we finished off two Met buildings, and then we're down to one more Met building, and then possibly our next trip would be all science museums. I did go to my first Broadway show.
That was so fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of stimulation.
How was that? I was worried about
I had my earbuds on, so it wasn't too loud, which is very nice. And the lights were okay. I think because it was not as glaring and beaming.
Like it wasn't reflecting back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was good. And so I got to enjoy the evening like that. And I got my playbook. My playbill. I got it signed by some of the characters. And then we went home from there. Oh no, we didn't go home. We went to Times Square.
Oh,
right?
Times Square.
Okay, so yeah, we went to Times Square, and it was the first time because it was a weekday, and we also traveled during a time when people weren't off. So it was empty,
but still
packed,
horrible,
but filled with lights everywhere. I almost felt like I was standing in daylight, but with only LEDs, panels everywhere, and people were walking around. I could see everyone clearly, and the noise was just all over the place, and people were standing everywhere, top to bottom, and billboards from top of buildings all the way to the ground.
Was it a nightmare?
It was a lot of colors, lots of colors, and lots of movement, and lots of flickering things.
A nightmare?
Flashy lights, and
I'm surprised you handled it. You had no meltdowns.
well, it was also really cold too. Other times whenever I feel things,
Is it because you get like overheated?
yeah, that's when it goes crazy. It gets a little bit much.
So the weather kind of can influence it too.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it helped a little bit. But a lot of times whenever I was in New York, even though it was cold, I got really hot, and then I started to sweat a lot. And
Well, you were also pushing me, and you were probably sweating.
well, I had like a near meltdown
You did?
in New York.
Where?
Well, just things were happening, and I just didn't even want to wear a jacket anymore. It was getting really hot, and
What was happening? I didn't even know.
It was just, I didn't have my earbuds that day, and so that they, a lot of things were happening to much people.
What day was this?
It was one of the sunny days.
Oh, was this when we went to the museum? And they were really loud?
Yeah.
And they were talking? Oh my God.
But you would think that at a museum, you'd think it would be really quiet.
Yeah, we were at the museum, and it's nothing but hard surfaces, and I guess they were like part of an art class or something, but they were older people, but they were so insanely loud, like talking and laughing.
Well, it wasn't just elder people. It was, I don't know, maybe they weren't from here, they weren't from there. They were from a tour group or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. There's different groups that were...
Yeah, because I was also observing them, different ones, different groups, as you took a restroom break.
Oh, okay.
And so I was observing the area. I did get to take a picture with Mr. Van Gogh, and he was really short and little.
That was so cool to see that in person. I was really excited.
He's a little man. Maybe a little taller than me. Just a little bit.
Okay, so after the fun happened, then how far into the trip? So, like, because then once the traveling for the initial one is done, do you already start thinking about travel home? So how far into the trip does that start to affect you? And does it take away the fun that
the
you
travel
might have?
home?
Yeah. When you start to think about that?
It was really difficult to sleep the night before going home. Because I also...
Do you start thinking about it like 2 days before? Or?
Yeah. I also had puddles of sweat in my sleep.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. And then I was just thinking in my dream. Just thinking about everything. So I basically did not sleep. And when I was sent to...
That's why you even kept waking me up.
So when I went to Penn Station, stayed up until I got onto the bus and almost like fell asleep. Luckily, the gentleman that sat next to me, I would ask him where I am, and he would tell me where.
How long was the ride?
It was not that long, because the trip doesn't take that long. So I would close my eyes a little bit, but couldn't sleep. So it was fairly quiet in the train, so I was really glad.
Yeah.
And they didn't keep the lights on, so it was nice and quiet.
Did you sleep at the airport?
Did not.
Oh my gosh, you didn't sleep the whole day?
No. I slept on the plane, like, very little.
Oh my God. That's horrible.
And then when I got home,
I
got the Uber and went home.
Okay.
And then I got really excited because I was home with Benjamin. So instead of going to sleep,
Are you serious?
I took him to the park.
Oh my god. I thought when you told me you were taking him to the park, I was like, oh, well, I guess she slept like on the plane and at the airport.
No, I didn't. I took him to the park, and then the next day was work, and I was so excited to be back. So excited. I just love being back
into your routine,
into my routine,
and then
everything just fell back into place.
And you didn't even sleep until the following night.
Yeah.
And that was travel life for you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But everything was better. It was like when you got back to the office, it was almost like feeling like you were actually on vacation.
So your vacation is not vacation.
My vacation is going back to work.
To your routine.
Yeah.
It's really stressful to have like vacation time?
Sometimes.
Even if it's just staying at home, is it stressful? Because it's not the norm.
Sometimes, yeah. Because then you do something.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But luckily, because we also have a side job, I'm able to do that in
place of it.
In place of, which I'm also thrilled about because you
have something to do.
Always have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shutdowns.
Not in your book.
So it was very, 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 very interesting. Because even whenever I sleep, I don't think I sleep.
Why?
Because I think a lot about things and processes and schedules and things.
Is that all the time?
Mostly.
Huh.
But it's good because then it keeps me like my gears or whatever. That's what people call it in the brains. The gears.
Yeah, but do you ever get to rest?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After meltdown time.
Oh my god.
So, it's good because then not only I get to have a refresh of everything, and then, so that was the trip for New York for me. Well, what about you? So did you find it easy to travel with me?
I think it was pretty easy.
Because I took control.
Yeah, you know exactly what we're doing, where we're going. I was like, okay. Cool.
It was really good.
It's very stressful for me to like think about how to get places because I'm not good at it. But having you to do it is much better. Yeah, that's where your strengths are. Yeah,
it was really. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's nice to not worry about getting lost.
Yeah.
Because that's all I worry about when I travel.
I like to look at maps.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things.
And you didn't even have any sort of meltdowns that I could tell. Like, you were pretty well managed.
Yeah.
Not managed, but like your emotions were pretty stable, I think.
Yeah. I think whenever we go into like certain shops and stuff, because the
wheelchair
amount of occupants that were inside the space, it just people were just really, really jam packed into some place. Yeah, there. It was almost like people at a club.
Yeah, it does feel like.
So that was only, but there were some places that weren't like that. So what was your favorite part of New York?
My favorite part was Lollipop and Moo Moo.
Yes, Lollipop and Moo Moo is one of the best things in New York. You don't get to see a Lollipop and Moo Moo everywhere.
They're very exclusive.
Very silly.
By invitation only.
Yeah. Every night whenever I walk her,
Mm-hmm.
Lollipop is this giant mastiff, and she is the most loving dog. She would give me lots of hugs on our walks and just rubbing her head against me. But I don't think she knows her strength, so she's always pushing me towards a fence or a wall. And so then I have to laugh it off and say, Lolly, what are you doing? And then Gugu, who is Moo, a pug, and he would go and use the bathroom, everything, which is, he's a very silly boy.
The ocean is just Moo Moo Pee from New York.
Yeah. And it was really immediately because when I leave Adriana, she's in the house and she's prepping the food while we're on our walk. So they know this drill. Immediately, whenever I get to the front door, Lollipops just like leaves me and runs to the door, wagging her tail. And she the minute I open the door, she enters and rush over to the kitchen like, "Where's my food?"
She's so cute, drooling everywhere.
Yeah.
So, what's your takeaway from this trip?
In preparation, I don't think I'd do anything differently because I was really well prepared. I just...
There's a method to the madness.
Huh?
There's a method to the madness?
No. There is no madness.
The only method.
Yeah. There was only methods. So I figured out what, before you go on your trip, make sure you schedule out your processing, and make sure that you have all your schedules and know exactly what you might do. Mm-hmm. It may not follow into the time frame that you're going to do it, but at least you have the routine set out for the day. My
lesson learned was that I should probably prepare more when I pack, because I left my scarf, I left my gloves, and it was not a good time. So
you also borrowed mine.
And then I also had to wear Julie's hat, her beanie. So
luckily I had two.
Luckily she had two when I had nothing. So I should probably pack better. I should probably take a page from your book, I think.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then
I don't actually have a book though.
Oh, I know. It's just like a common saying.
What?
It's just like a common phrase. The next time you will hear from us will be on March 6th with a new podcast.
Yay!
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're available on Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud right now. And yeah, come hang out with us on all of those. And
I promise we'll have more topics coming your way.
Yes.
And maybe we'll have some
guests.
Some guests.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. See you later. Thanks for listening to the Neurotypical Podcast. Boop.
Dun.